for you. Authorize.net does it for you. It has it set up. Go ahead.
So authorize requires you to keep the last four in the CVV to do recurrent payments. You see that as dangerous?
You're not allowed to store the CVV2 code. You're not allowed to store your CVV2 code in the database, period.
If I'm not mistaken, authorize.net passes you an authorization number.
Yeah.
And that is what you store, and then you just use that authorization number for the review.
Exactly. Yeah, and that's exactly what it is. It's the authorization number. The last four of the card are fine. You're allowed to store the first six and the last four. It's everything in between that you can't have.
Okay.
So if you want records, stuff like that, just truncate your credit card information.
Yeah.
And you're not allowed. PCI standards say you're not allowed to save the CVV2 code because that's basically, proof you have the card.
Period.
Yeah, just don't do it. You can't.
No matter how
You
you
will be
no matter
non-
how you do it, it's not allowed.
Yeah, you are not compliant if you store that card.
I read somewhere that if they pull credit card numbers off your server, it's $1 million per number.
And I don't know the exact figures, but honestly, everybody in here, I doubt anybody does 20 or 30,000 Visa transactions a year. Because it's per transaction, it's not dollar amount, how much you're doing, it's how many transactions you have. But it'll kill a small company if this happens. So, I mean, I don't want to be gloom and doom. So here's, okay. So now what we're going to move on is to actually what's going to be really important in here. PAGSS guidelines apply to software that is sold for payment gateways. Good thing, you write a custom payment gateway for Drupal, we don't have to be PAGSS requirement because it's under the GPI. So that's a good thing because we talked to a couple of companies that had to do this, and it's a ridiculous level of security that's very, very difficult to achieve. Bad news, you are responsible for the code as if you wrote it. You find a bug in Drupal core that makes you vulnerable, you are obligated to fix it. You must fix it. You must put in a patch. You must send it up to the security team, and you've got to do it as soon as you find it. This means that all of us have to be a lot more involved in the security of all of the contributed modules and of Drupal core. You do e-commerce, you're responsible. If you don't do this, you will be found not compliant. Good thing is, the Drupal security team makes it easy for you guys to help with this stuff. If you find a security issue in any module, core or contributed, you're responsible to fix it according to PCI standards. Document what you find, what you've done, attempt to fix it, report it to the security team immediately. And then, supply a patch. The other thing you absolutely have to do, PCI requirements say that you must be subscribed to the Drupal security updates. You must update every module that has a security patch as soon as it comes out. You cannot wait. If it's going to break something, you got to fix it right away. If your module is abandoned and it has security issues, you either have to fix those security issues yourself, or you have to uninstall the module. It's just, because it's GPL, it's your code. It's like you wrote it. You're responsible to fix it. You're responsible to take care of it. So if you go to the security link, you can get the emails, the RSS feeds, but you have to be getting something, and it has to be documented. So some of the biggest challenges for us, the documentation requirements for PCI are pretty large. They require that you pretty much document your entire business process. For us, we're a small 501c3. We don't have a lot of people. And while we have documentation, we didn't really have good documentation. We had to write an entire security document. And it has to be maintained and updated. And it required the coordination of our entire staff. It requires approval of our board and our CEO. We had to get that stuff, and we have to remember to document. I mean, I know that we're not always the best at that. I know what I'm doing. I'm the only one that does my job. I don't need to write this down. Issue.
Just treat it as a living document. Update it as much as you can. If you ever make a change, make sure you put it in there. So just be on top of it, be proactive.
This is a statement of everything you're doing for your security or everything you're doing for
Security,
all
yeah.
your transactions.
Security and everything surrounding your card
process,
handling.
Yeah, your card handling. You know, if you've got a network that, is like, okay, for us, we'll just skip down, because our network feeds into our DMZ, which is where our credit cards are at. We had to do serious building security. Things like, we had to implement cipher locks on our doors and visitors badges for people that came into the office areas. Things that, you know, we're an open building, people come and do events in our building all the time. But because we host our servers and all this information is in our building, we had to lock it down. We had to go through and move ports and all kinds of stuff. And that's the things that you'll realize as you go through and start taking down the information and figuring out what your specific requirements are. There are going to be weird little things that you didn't realize you have to do. We had to implement a clean desk policy because we get paper credit cards into the mail. So we had to go and force everybody to lock everything up every time they get off out of their desk. You know, if someone has been working there for 15 or 20 years, it's kind of hard to get them to do it, but there's just little things that you have to do. The developer requirements are actually one of the most difficult things for us. They require that you have a person that develops and a person that deploys.
And the person who tests.
Yeah, and a person that tests. We have 4 people in our IT department that does everything. So essentially, if I'm the person that has to deploy, I can't really develop that code. If Matt's having a problem, I can code review for him. But I can't go in and say Matt's sick and we need this module up and running tomorrow. I can't be the one that deploys it now. And I can't be the one who code reviews it now.
That's ridiculous.
Okay, but
Well, wait, but
How
here's,
can you manage it?
hold on. Here is the thing about PCI with documentation. When you have situations like that, that's not how we do things. When you have situations like that, there is the ability to have an exception. This is where your documentation comes in. We cannot comply with this requirement. We cannot comply with this requirement because we don't have the staff and the resources to do this. So instead, what we do is and document how you maintain security.
and be prepared to defend it.
And yeah, defend it.
No,
Very much.
how am I maintaining security by not uploading the module, but
Because you, I'm a